We've seen how we can add our own calculated fields that do things mathematically, so to numeric values, but we can also add calculated fields that work on text fields, so manipulate text values. In order to do this, we follow the same process, so it's a new query in design for us with TBR customers. Let's just close the property sheet for now, and we'll take the first name and the last name again and sort them ascending. Now, if we wanted to create a salutation, for example, to use with a letter with our data, then we could create a new field for this. Let's do it on the Zoom. And we need a sensible name, so let's call it salutation, colon. So the mechanics so far are exactly the same. New field name, colon, what would we like to go into the field? Well, I'd like it to say dear first name. So because I want the actual word dear to appear, I need to put that in speech marks. So I'm opening speech marks, typing the word dear, typing an extra space, closing my speech marks, and then the character for effectively gluing on some text field is the ampersand, and then the name of the field, first name. So this is an actual string value, and then this is the field name. So it's going to take whatever the value is in the field name and place it at the end of dear space. So I'm going to see dear Mary, dear John. Okay. When we click away, you'll see that Access very nicely has placed square brackets around my field name, but has left the speech marks alone for the dear. So if we then view, we see dear Bailey, dear Alison, dear Mason, dear Jason. So it's all dear space first name. Just widen for some of the longer first names, and that works all the way through. Just like the mathematical calculation, this is working this out every time I run the query. So back in design, I may wish to see the first name and the surname together, because when I view it at the moment, it looks very much like a data table, where the surnames are all aligned, first names are all aligned, but then the gap between them varies depending on how long the person's first name is. If I go in design, I can actually place them both together and just have a simple single space between them. So let's do a zooming, calling my new field full name, colon, and it's going to be the person's first name, ampersand a space. Now to get it to actually put a space, I need to put that space between speech marks. So it becomes ampersand open speech marks, space, close speech marks. Then another ampersand so that I can glue on the last name. So I've created what effectively is a little sandwich there. First name, bit of glue, space, bit of glue, and the last name. Okay, view, and then I get to see the full name, first name and last name. And regardless of the length of the person's first name, there is a single space between the first and the last name. So there's quite a long one, and it's still only a single space. Whereas when you look at the data, we're then restricted to having all the columns align with themselves. So this full name concatenation really becomes quite useful. And then the last little one we're going to look at is manipulating an actual string by being able to chop things up. Now we do a lot more of this later on. Here we're simply going to take the initial off the first name. So a new field, I'm going to call it short name. And the short name field is actually going to be the person's first initial. Now to get the first character off their first name, we use a function called left, open brackets, working on the first name field, comma, bring me one character. So it starts at the left-hand side, just as the name of the function suggests, the left-hand side of the first name field, but only extracts one character. And logically, you can spot that you could change that one for any other number, and it will extract that many characters from the left-hand side. Ampersand for my glue, open speech marks, full stop, close speech marks, another bit of glue, and then the person's last name. So here, instead of having a space between first name and the last name, we're going to have a full stop. Okay. View, and we see that it simply works because it's been told to. First character off the first name, so B for Bailey, full stop, Adams. A for Alison, full stop, Adams. And down the other end of the data, it's still working away. J for Jesse, full stop, Young. So we've seen here we can use text manipulation The concatenating character is the ampersand, very important little character there, for gluing bits of strings or whole strings together to make another new string.